for coming in. I'm so excited about us being a part of this. Right now, we're going to be talking about women in business. We're going to be talking about some of the struggles that we have as women in business, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we need to do to help us as women in business. As you can see, we have a panel discussion. I'd like to thank Dr. Betsy Smith.
Thank you.
Miss Jenny Gracia. I forgot her name. No, I'm joking. Wendy Summers. LaQuanda Pace. Quanda Pace. And Mercedes Ferris. So ladies, we're going to jump right into it because there's a lot of things that I wanted to discuss. Yesterday I went online and of course I forgot my whole thing that I was supposed to do. So it's just, don't worry about it. So we're going to just talk women in business. First of all, how long have each of you been in business? We'll start with you, Betsy.
15 years.
Legally, 5 years.
Tell me more.
With my newest career, 3 years.
A total of 15, newest career, 6 years.
Self-employed for 5 years.
And I've been doing business, self-employed and working on the side for 21 years. So as you can see, we have a lot of experience up here, and we're going to talk about some things that are really serious. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is we're going to start with, I'm going to call you Mercy. Is that
That's
okay?
fine.
Because that's the name she likes to be called. Mercy, tell me, what are some of the struggles that you've had in business when you first started?
First starting the business on my own was really trying to figure out the legal structure as to what is the lowest tax bracket, whether I can pay less taxes. Because we work hard. We work hard for our money, and we also want to provide a living wage for ourselves and for our employees. So what would be the best way that we can that I can form my business or structure my business in terms of making it profitable for the business, make it profitable for myself, and providing a good wage, a living wage for my employees, because without your employees, you really don't have a business. So those are some of the struggles that I did, how to kind of, it's kind of, you have to just kind of get in there and figure it out, but learning how to budget correctly and managing your money and making sure you know where your money's going. So those are the two things I would say when you're first starting your business, to kind of really focus on and figuring that out from the get-go, so you're not shortchanging yourself or losing money.
Okay. What about you, Jenny? What were some of the struggles that you had?
It was a combination of support from my own network and believing in myself. Knowing that I can handle it, and even if no one is going to be there to back me up, no one is going to be there to take my call, to just support my business and support me as a professional.
Okay. How about you, Dr. Betsy Smith?
I started my business out of higher education. 20 years I was at PSC when it was PJC. So the first thing I remember is I was flipping lonely. I have been surrounded by like-minded individuals my whole career. And here I am in this office by myself, and I was lonely. Then I realized if you don't want to be lonely, you got to get out there and meet folks, which is easy for me, as you know.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. And I believe, my question is, why don't women get the business? Because they don't ask for it. And we have to ask. And just yesterday, I talked to a lawyer, female lawyer, and my pitch to her was, how did you like my book? She said, it was great. I said, how would you like to order bulk and give them to your new clients? Sold 50 books.
Awesome.
Just by asking.
Wow. She went into my segue for the next question. So we talk about the struggles of us, asking. One of the things that we really do struggle with as women is the confidence level that we don't have. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. When I first started the business, I didn't want to start a business. I'm just going to be honest with you. I wanted to work for someone else so that I can get training. I had graduated from college with an AA degree, and I wanted to actually go into a place of business where someone can train me more for graphic design. I would send my resume in. They loved the resume. They give me a call and on the phone because I sounded articulate, is what I was told. They would call me in and we'd have, we'd sit down for a couple of seconds, and as soon as they saw my skin color, they were like, "You'd be bored with the job," or they tell me that the job was already filled, or just no. And so, because I am a determined person, I had to start my business so that I could get the training, and that's how I started my actual business. So, what are some of the struggles, Kwanda, that you have seen as a business owner?
As a business owner, being in the business that I'm in, it's predominantly male ran promotion and media, things like that. So it was hard trying to prove myself that I can do this too, or I can, bring out the crowd, or I can do a great event, because they always wanted to put us in the admin roles.
Yes.
You'd stay at the door, take the tickets, and I'm like, no, I'm backstage running the show, checking in the artists. You don't tell me what to do. But so that was a struggle. And then when I started, I was also a mother with young kids, and I had a full-time job, and I was trying to go to school part-time. Yeah. So it's just trying to balance all those things. Was a struggle in the beginning. The struggle now that I have an empty nest and we're in radio is, like you said, being a woman in business, asking for the dollar. Especially it's radio, but it's internet radio, so it's like just men would look at it different. Like they didn't believe it's like, oh, you actually pick music, or you actually do this, and it's just proving ourselves. And because it's called Real Women Radio, we had to prove that it wasn't just for women, So that was one of the struggles, just trying to get everybody to understand the concept, accept us as women, and asking for the dollar.
Yes. Excuse me, we are back here filming. Can you please go downstairs? They'll cut that out. Okay, so second thing, asking for the dollar. So how did you build the confidence of asking people, Wendy, for money?
Okay, so basically, I have no problem saying my age. I'm 53 years old. When I was 19 years old, I started a career in broadcasting. So I did broadcasting for most of my life, and when I did my most recent broadcasting job, I did a show called the Pensacola Expert Panel with Wendy Summers, where I interviewed business owners every single day for 12 years. And they said, by the way, not only are you going to do your radio show, but we want you to sell radio as well. And I was like, oh, no. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna sell radio and you're gonna sell your show. And I did not love that at all. And I really had to be prodded a lot. It was not me to ask people for money to do something that they didn't have to do, right? You don't have to buy radio advertising. You don't necessarily, it's not a need. It's not groceries, it's not food, So it was very difficult. However, I did have some really great people that trained me and were patient with me. And then just doing that job, there was other challenges as well. And I just really wanted to kind of take control of my own time. I did not have control of my own time. I did not have control of really exactly how much money I was going to make. And I have a little phrase that somebody told me when I worked there, and I want to teach it to you all because it's probably one of the most important things I've ever learned, and write it down. It's called the dollar to grief ratio. Okay, so some people bring you a lot of grief, but you hold on to those people in your life for whatever reason because you think it's okay, I have to do this because I have to make some money. I have to keep them as a customer. But you really need to get this balance in your head and go, okay, holy Moses, they are bringing me so much stress and they're not paying their bills. I have to chase them down. And everybody's going to have their own ratio. Everyone has
a level of grief of which they can tolerate. As I get older, mine gets lower.
Yeah.
When I was young, I probably would have taken on much more. But if you have it in your head as a woman and you keep it as your own personal mantra, it really helps you make better decisions. And now, so I'm 3 years into my new career as a commercial real estate advisor. And it's not entirely different than what I was doing interviewing business owners on my radio show. It was called the expert panel because I interviewed experts. So people like you, I interviewed. And I learned so many things. And I learned that business owners, especially women, were being marginalized. They weren't being listened to. They weren't, they would say, you know, I was trying to find a place to lease and I only have $2,000 a month, but they're showing me things that are $4,000. People aren't respecting you. They're not respecting your budget. And I just was, what can I do to help these people? Then sure enough, I ended up doing, one of the people that I asked to advertise with me was a commercial agent, and now I'm working with him because he just really kind of like showed me how I could help business owners on a more personal level. And so that was just challenging, I would say, when you asked about your biggest challenges, is just knowing your own dollar to grief ratio and applying that even if you are desperate for the money, because we all need money and we all need to work
Yes.
and earn a wage to pay our bills, but it will pay off for you mentally, because our mental health is so important, because especially at 53, I bring a lot of, I got a lot going, there's a lot back there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, it's, you got to compartmentalize, and it's a lot of that.
So I have I'm gonna segue into this because this is something that I've been thinking about. Like everything you said was so powerful. Like that whole racial grief, and I'm gonna be 53 this year as well. And yeah, I don't look it, girl. But with that being said, I'm starting to learn the racial grief as well. That's something that's really huge because as you get older, your tolerance does go down. But when you're young and you're getting started, there's the ratio to grief is a lot higher for sure because you're looking for the money and you're hungry. So I'm going to ask the question, Jenny, when you first got started, right? Starting a business, did you set parameters for yourself to know what you would accept and what you wouldn't accept as far as business was concerned when it comes to dealing with your customers?
Prior to starting my business, I was in the aviation industry, and I was in it for about 10 years. And so I was accustomed to always having to do double the work for half the credit.
And half the
Outshining,
pay.
yes, and outshining all of my colleagues, my male counterparts, and receiving maybe a fraction of the merit. So at a very young age, I understood what the concept of you have to put the boundaries in place before people start abusing and manipulating the situation. So I remember very well being 18, 19 years old, working at a hangar. If you don't know what a hangar is, it's where aircraft are stored, where they're parked, their parking lot. And I remember hearing every colorful word, and I didn't pay any mind because I said, I don't have to deal with you because you're not paying rent in my mind. And the less attention I give you, the more I'm going to shine. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. And so I applied the same exact experience to my business, where if a person tried to cross those boundaries, I simply cut it and nip it in the bud. Not going to allow it, not going to tolerate it. You don't deserve it. And us as women, we are so maternal and compassionate.
And nurturing.
And because of that, we become a naive persona, and people think, oh, I can just walk all over her. Absolutely not. And that's where you put your foot down. I don't care what skin color you are, I don't care what ethnicity you are, I don't care what planet you're from. That is all irrelevant, because you will dominate in whatever business, career, industry you're in, as long as you believe in yourself and you don't tolerate anyone to do anything that will ever disrespect you or your business.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, because one of the things that we as women have to deal with is that people don't take us seriously in business. They look at, like, especially, and please don't take this wrongly, as women in color, we have it 10 times harder, because they look at us in terms of the stereotypes that have been there. So the stereotypes that have been there have been, we're lazy, we're always late, we are always angry, we're always whatever. And so they put us in these stereotypes, and because of that, we end up having people come to us and say, well, can you give me a hookup? Or why am I doing business with you? I don't see the value of what you're doing. That has been said to me on many occasions, and I fired my clients for that reason. But we have those different things that go on as business owners, as women. And then on another scale, as a whole, most people, even women, we do this to ourselves. We think that we're too emotional. We think that someone is being messy, and sometimes it's true. We think that it's okay to gossip about someone and it's not going to come back on you. We think that it's okay to say something negative and not think that someone's going to look at you for the negativity. So we've got to talk about that, because that's a serious thing as women in business. And I'm not saying that you guys do it, but I know as a woman, I've done it. I know that some of the women on this panel probably have done it. And we've got to have that conversation, because if we want to be taken seriously, there are certain things that we cannot do. We have to be in a different mindset. So let's talk about first of all, the gossiping part of it. I've had clients come to me and tell me things that they should not have told me, and I found it putting a space in my heart towards the person that they told me about. And I've had to literally dispel those thoughts, because the person that they told me about came to me and was becoming my client. So it's not fair for me to have a jaded view of them whenever someone does something. I have to have that relationship first to myself. So let's start with Mercy.
Whatever you want to say. I mean, my birth name is Mercedes.
I try hard to keep it is the way you want it to be.
I don't care.
But yeah, let's talk about the gossiping part of it. Have you had to deal with that, and how do you dispel that so that you can keep things professional?
I hear things. I don't necessarily would believe anything that I hear until I've experienced it firsthand. So that's how I deal with things. If someone says something, I'm like, great, they may have done it to you because maybe they don't like you, or you may have done something to them for them to treat you that way. However, I kind of dispel all that until I see something firsthand where I'm like, oh, well, maybe we should have a conversation with this person, because now I'm seeing it, and now this is why everybody else is saying those respective comments. So it's a conversation that if I'm your friend, I'm going to pull you to the side, and I'm going to tell you those things as a friend, how to better yourself. So because if you're doing things, and I think it should be addressed, and it should be addressed in a way where it's coming from love versus gossiping.
Yes.
So that's something that I personally do, and I'll tell you flat out, is look, I'm just telling you what I've observed, what I've heard. I didn't pay any mind to it until I observed it firsthand, and I love you, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. What can we do, and so this is a persona maybe you don't want to keep portraying to the community, so let's talk about how it could get fixed, and I'm happy to see what we can do to get that done.
Okay, that's wonderful. Betsy, what about you?
I learned to play golf many years ago because the boys weren't going to leave me out again. Let me tell you, they gossip every bit as much as
Men are worse. Men are worse.
I'm at a conference with my boss, and this lady's up there talking about something. He said, you know how she got where she is? And I said, no. Well, she slept with somebody. I said, oh hell, that's what they say about you and me. Don't repeat that. and I think gossip is malicious, and like you, Mercedes, if I hear gossip and I don't take action on that with the person who is being gossiped about, then that's my failure. I owe it to other people to say, like you said, this is what I heard. But unlike you, I would say, do you want to do anything about that? Because they might not.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I just keep my mouth shut because I don't want to, I'm not in it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay away from it because I don't want to even be a part of that. So I'm just going to, I didn't, whatever. But then when I do see it firsthand, then I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to let you know what I've heard, and I can tell you why they're probably saying that. So let's address it. Let's talk
I
about it.
think that's important to have a solution. If you're gonna bring something to me, and it's
Yeah.
not, and you can bring anything to me. I take criticism well. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And you do teach people how to treat you. So I would want somebody to come to me, but like she said, I did stay out of it until it happens or I see it for myself. And they were like, sis, I'm gonna let you for a second, and sometimes it's communication. It could be a whole miscommunication.
Yeah, and I take everything with a grain of salt. Like if someone says something about somebody, I'm like, because I know I have my days. And so, people talking about me, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Because I probably was having a day. So.
Yeah. What about how they always say women are catty? We hear that all the time. And I've seen it firsthand. I'm sure we all have. How do we deal with the whole, the cattiness? Let's start with you, my sister. This is my sister from another mother, guys. Wendy.
Thank you.
How do we deal with cattiness?
Okay. So you had me when you were like rubbing. I was like, oh my gosh.
She got into
it.
She's like a lovey person. You
I
just
am
have
a
no
very
idea.
lovey person. So because I am a lovey person, I can't be catty to others because I know what it does to me. I know, and you're talking about gossip earlier, and when I worked in radio and I was on the air, and I because I love people and I love people, so I'm probably gonna hug you or whatever. So then, they're probably sleeping together, obviously, because it's insane where these leaps that people take because I want to hug you, and again, I think it's like when I got older, when I saw the cattiness, and I kind of feel like I think I've shut it so far away from me now because I make a choice when I see a beautiful woman or a woman crushing it at life, even if she's at Publix. I'm like, girl, you look amazing. You are crushing it. I don't know what you're doing, but I'll tell a complete stranger that. And they're like, do you know her? I'm like, no. But guess what? She might have had a really crappy day and she looks amazing. And she's out here doing her groceries, getting groceries. She probably just got off work. So I just make a very conscious effort to be the opposite of catty. I don't want to say bad things about people, and if I have something bad to say, there's definitely a reason. There's definitely something terrible that person has done for me to even share that with someone else. So that may be a different experience because now I work for myself and I have a very small circle. So when I worked in broadcasting, obviously, and it's a whole different story. Whole different story.
So we're going to open the floor up for questions. If any ladies have any questions, if you want to ask something. I knew I felt it.
You started me.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so my first question is, and I think Dr. Smith, you kind of talked about it, like kind of breaking into the Girl Boys Club. How have you guys? Because I'm very young in business. I'm turning 25 in 2 weeks.
Yay!
And in being in business, I noticed that not only in my industry, but when I meet other women, into that and make sure that you are in those rooms.
What is your industry?
Mental health agency. So we're on the education and consulting side.
Okay, thank you.
Can I start off first?
Absolutely.
So, okay, I'm not in your industry at all, but I'm one of the first black graphic designers in Pensacola, like female black graphic designers. When I graduated in 1998, no, actually 2000, I'm sorry, 2001, there was hardly any black graphic designers in Pensacola, let alone a female one. And so for me, breaking in meant, first of all, me having confidence in me, okay? That is a huge thing. Like, I couldn't let anyone tell me that I couldn't do something. And the thing is that it came not just from outside of the home, it came from inside of the home. My mother wanted me desperately to be a nurse. I can't stand the sight of blood. I'm not cleaning up after nobody. I'm sorry. I don't like to clean myself sometimes. I'm not cleaning up after anybody. So my mother was really pushing me to do something other than graphic design and marketing. And then on the outside, I had people telling me that I was not good enough, or they tried to compete with me and it would cause issues. The biggest thing that I had to overcome was here. My self-confidence saying, you can do this. And after I kept saying it over and over and over and over again, when I walk into a room now, I command respect from not just females, but men. So you're going to have to come in speaking to yourself that you can do anything that you put your mind to. That's the first one. Now you can go. Yay.
I was the second down woman in Rotary.
Oh.
Rotary was a male-dominated organization until the late 80s. And because I worked for PJC, they sent me to a Rotary, to become a member of a Rotary Club. I worked at Warrington campus at that time, so the nearest one was Suburban West, which is full of retired captains and chiefs and crusty old curmudgeons. And every week they had what they called a groaner, which was the joke of the day. And they were awful. I mean, they were, even I would blush occasionally. So when it was my turn to be the groaner, here's the joke I told. What's the difference between a wife and a mistress? 30 pounds. What's the difference between a husband and a lover? 30 minutes.
That's great.
What's the difference between hard and dark? Stays dark all night. And I was accepted from that second. Now, as I'm going to say at my presentation this afternoon, not everybody has my personality. Not everybody was raised in Texas. Not everybody had a 4'11" mother who said, you can do whatever you want to, go get it. But as we talk about thoughts and actions, I think it's important that remember, you're not going to react like I do. And you're going to react in the way that you view the world, that you've been treated. And so there's not really a one-size-fits-all. What I hope we do today is inspire you to have a new thought or to ask a new question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I wanted to kind of say something towards that. It's okay. It speaks to both what they said. Knowing your worth. And I used to have a friend, Audrey, used to tell me that all the time. And I was like, I know my worth. I don't have low self-esteem. She's like, no, know your worth. Like when you know what you're worth, you know what you can do. You're confident. You'll be able to step up. And like Miss Betsy, I have a big personality too. So I'm like, hey, I'm here. Like, what we doing? You know. But if I don't know something, I am quiet. So I find out, educate myself if I don't know, so that I am confident when I do speak, and just speak with authority, walk in your purpose. Know your worth, and then after you know your worth, everything is great. Dating, everything, business. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Did any of y'all ever, okay, so you starting your business and you're getting in your groove and
I can barely hear you.
you're starting your business, you're getting in your groove. Does anybody ever fear what success looks like?
Yes.
every day.
Every day. But I'm going to tell you something. The more I fear it, the more I run towards it. And so the difference between being afraid and being ambitiously afraid, when you're afraid, you allow the fear to block everything. And it's not just success in business, it's success in life, okay? But when you are fearfully ambitious, you're afraid, but not so afraid that you'll stop. The whole idea is to have it in your mind that even though you're afraid, you're going to do it anyway. Because if you do it anyway, even if you fail, you've learned something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of anything, because if you are, you will shut yourself down in life.
Yep.
Not business, in life,
Yeah.
which includes business. Don't be afraid.
Yep.
Fear will break everything down if you let it. I'm a Christian. I cuss, but I'm a Christian. I try not to cuss,
You can still love Jesus.
but I'm Christian. Okay. But the Bible says that fear can kill you. Fear will kill you because it will stop all your dreams. It'll stop all your hopes. It'll stop all your desires. It'll stop you from dating. It'll stop you from getting married. It'll stop you from having a business. It'll stop you from everything. I lived in fear of success for a long time. You know what? So 21 years of business, right? You know how successful I've been for the past 21 years? Not too. You know why? Because I was afraid. In 2018, I made up my mind that I was either going to be successful or bust. That was my goal. Be successful or bust. It is 2022. I'm making triple my income now because I'm no longer afraid. You cannot let fear destroy you.
Yes.
And, I'm sorry, and I want to say, you don't fail until you stop. No matter how many times you may fall down, get back up. And when you stop getting up is when you fail.
You feel
So,
forward.
so,
Always feel
Fall forward. That's
so you
correct.
just keep getting up. When I moved here, I'll tell you, when I moved here in 2020, I lost my business in Austin, Texas. I did sales, marketing, events for a music venue. We all know what happened in 2020. That wasn't happening. I loaded my car up, drove from Austin here. My son, our brother lives here. I started brand new with just what I had in my car. Okay? Right now, I'm making the most money I have in my entire life.
Me too.
So just keep going, believe in yourself, be fearfully ambitious. Just keep going. And you don't know until you try. I used to be a fundraiser. You don't know until you ask.
That's
so
right.
you don't know until you try.
Yes.
Get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. And all the naysayers, whatever, you just keep going.
Yeah, I had kind of like a similar story. I was at a nonprofit organization for 20 years, loved it, it was my passion, working with youth. And I was doing radio on the side for 5 years, and then I had an opportunity to leave. And it's like, I'm leaving benefits, I'm leaving a check that I'm used to, I'm leaving. Okay, so sometimes they say step out on faith, but we stepped out on fear. And like they said, I've doubled my income, and it's not even, it's crazy. It's like, because you're doing your passion and you're gonna do it. So sometimes it's not fear, sometimes it's just being cautious or worried about the next step. So when I say when you ask were we scared, I'm not scared for the success, I'm just cautious, and worried about the next step, making sure I have a plan. But yeah, it's a good thing.
I want you to create your vision board, write, journal, whatever it is.
Yep.
And if your goals don't make you scream, cry, get emotional, make your heart skip a beat, if your goals aren't doing that, your goals are just not big enough.
Yeah.
And if your goals aren't doing that and they're not big enough, what are you doing with your life? God has given you a gift. You owe it to God to put that into practice. Because if you are not putting that into practice, you're not doing your job in life.
And may I say, you owe it to yourself also. Because some people are atheists, some are agnostic. We're not telling you to believe in God. What we're saying is,
Hakuna Matata, whatever you believe in.
there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
So if you feel like your goals and your dreams and ambitions are too small, or if you feel like it's not making you do exactly what she said, you're thinking too small.
Yep.
Because for you to be a business owner, you have to think big. You can't think small. If your goal is just to sell, you're a real estate agent, right? If your goal is just to sell a house, your goals are too small. It's more than that. You got to think about, my goal is to dominate the world. Eventually, by the time I'm 75, I'm going to own this place, okay? That's the goal. I may never get there, but I might own Pensacola. I'm just saying, that's my goal. So if you are not stretching yourself, you're losing. Stretch yourself.
Keep stretching. Keep stretching.
If I can.
And after this, we're done.
So what I also want to say, hashtag, I agree with all this. However, when we're thinking and you're hearing all this, because these are very powerful women up here,
And you're not?
it's my time.
Your time. I'm sorry.
So I don't want you to get overwhelmed because you're focused on the mansion that you really would love to get that listing for. Because wouldn't that be amazing? Holy cow. You could go buy that beach house maybe that you wanted with that commission, or it'd be a great down payment on that. So that's an amazing vision. But right now, today, you've got to get to where you can today to get there.
Yeah.
So yes, agree, have that vision, but that may stress you out right now. To be like, oh yeah, I don't know what the step, yeah. So that's amazing, and I love the vision board, and I would love for someone to teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do that. So, yes, but with caution.
Yes.
But what was the term that you used? I liked it. It was something with fear.
Oh, be ambitiously fearful.
Ambitiously fearful. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's just one more thing. Just when you walk in it fully, because when I was holding on to that job and scared and not going well, and I started walking in it fully, things just start happening. People just start connecting. Like you just start meeting people, and it's just it'll come down.
And it's okay to start small, like Wendy said. It's really okay.
I just got to.
I'm not telling you to just like run out and start, doing something huge.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, so the question was asked, how do you start your vision? That's pretty much what Wendy was saying. So you sit down in the morning. What I do is I braid dump, because I don't know what happens to me, but between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning, all of my dreams and things are coming out on paper.
Yeah.
And so I get up in the morning and I literally braid dump everything. I put it all on paper, and I don't look at it after I'm done. I wait until the evening, and then I sit down and I look at what I wrote out. Some of it is bananas. Like I'm like, where did this? I can't even read this. What? But the other stuff that comes out that's really, really good, I put it in a place where it's part of my business plan. I have a whole business plan thing set up for me, and it goes right into that area. So I may not accomplish it now, but I will accomplish it.
I had to learn that. I used to think I was supposed to do everything I thought of.
Nope.
Don't go crazy.
I did.
Last question.
I was just going to share, for me, it's really hard for me to see outside the box or see the big picture.
Uh-huh.
And I've learned that I have just got to focus on, like, last year, my big goal right now is to be debt-free. So last year was my first year of real estate, and I set my goal to pay off one debt. And so so I have to take like little bites at a time, like the mansion. That's just not something that I can even
Look at
for myself right now. It's just taking little bites at a time, and then my plan is in 5 years to be totally debt free. So
As long as you have it there, that's the most important thing. And with that, thank you ladies for listening to what we had to say. I hope that you got something out of it.
Yeah, thank you. Every answer was amazing. I have something to take away from everything.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.